Recording started.
All right. Call to order the Beverages Licensing Authority hearing for Wednesday, March 19th, 2025 at 3 p.m.
Thank you so much. I'll start by sharing my screen. And give me just a second. The city has engaged with community members to co-create a vision for productive, meaningful, and inclusive civic conversations. This vision supports physical and emotional safety for community members, staff, and board and commission members, as well as democracy for people of all ages, identities, lived experiences, and political perspectives. More about this vision and the project's community engagement process can be found on our website, which is bouldercolorado.gov. The following are examples of rules of decorum found in the Boulder Revised Code and other guidelines that support this vision. These will be upheld during this meeting. All remarks and testimony shall be limited to matters related to city business. No participant shall make threats or use other forms of intimidation against any person. Obscenity, racial epithets, and other speech and behavior that disrupts or otherwise impedes the ability to conduct the meeting are prohibited. Participants are required to sign up to speak using the name they are commonly known by, and individuals must display their whole name before being allowed to speak online. Currently, only audio testimony is permitted online for public comment. The chat function, or in this case, Q&A function, should only be used for technical questions to staff, and it should not be used for public comment. I will go ahead and move on to member roll call. If you'll just speak your presence aloud. Chair Matt Califano.
Chair Califano present.
Thank you. Member Michael Absalom.
Member Absalom present.
Member Michael Carr.
Member Carr present.
Member Brendan Haggerty.
Member Haggerty present.
Member Leah Roberts.
Member Roberts present.
Thank you. Next, we have approval of Beverage Licensing Authority minutes from February 19th, 2025.
Is there any edits to the minutes? Not seeing any. Is there a motion to approve? Member Califano would make a motion.
Member Absalom seconds that motion.
All in favor say aye. Member Califano, aye.
Member Absalom, aye.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Member Roberts, aye.
Member Carr will abstain because I wasn't present for the entire meeting.
Thank you. Next, we have approval of Beverage Licensing Authority minutes from March 5th, 2025.
Any edits to these? Not seeing any. Is there a motion?
Member Absalom make a motion to approve the minutes.
Do we have a second?
Member
Member
Roberts.
Haggerty's
Member Roberts will second the approval motion.
All in favor say aye. Member Califano, aye.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Member Absalom, aye.
Member Roberts, aye.
Member Carr will abstain.
Thank you. Next, we have hearing agenda issues from licensing clerk. I have no hearing agenda issues for you today. I'll move on to agenda item 2, which is matters from Boulder Police Department, and Officer Leah Reck is here.
Good afternoon. Just giving you guys an update about our fraudulent IDs. Those continue to be the top of our list so far this year. 2.5 months in, we've received 561 fraudulent IDs, and we're continuing to get more IDs from last year. So 2024 received 1,849 IDs for last year. And just on a side note, the IDs that we've received so far this year are from 13 establishments. So I appreciate those establishments getting those to me in a timely manner. I think that's it. Other than I still, I wasn't sure if this would be the time to bring this up, but I'm hoping to get those ride-alongs scheduled with the members, the board members who are still interested in going on those rides. And Chair Califano, I'd love for you to come still ride, even if you're no longer part of the licensing authority, but I'd love for you to come ride. And I think that's it.
Definitely still interested, so I will be in touch.
Okay,
Me too.
perfect.
Are there any questions for Officer Rec from the board?
Officer Rick, what's the best way is it just to reach out to you to schedule that?
Yeah, you can reach out to me. And if I'm not available at a time that works good for you, Sergeant Marquez, who's in charge of the neighborhood impact team, said that he would be more than happy to have you ride with him as well. So we're pretty flexible.
Thank you. I'll reach out.
All right, well, if there are no other questions, thank you so much, Officer Rec.
Thank you. Next we have agenda item 5, which is general public comments for future beverage licensing authority hearings. If you are here to make public comment on an item that is not on the agenda, please go ahead and use the raise hand function. So let me know you'd like to speak. Not seeing any hands. Last call for general public comments for future BLA hearings. I'm not seeing any. I'll move on to agenda item 4, show cause hearing concerning an alleged violation and whether the fermented malt beverage and wine retailer off-premise type liquor license held by Everyday Store LLC, DBA Everyday Store 5700, 1275 13th Street, Boulder, Colorado 80302 should be suspended or revoked. If you're here to speak on this matter, please go ahead and raise your hand and I'll let you in. I see there was one raised hand. I might have accidentally missed another one. If there's anyone else who's here to speak on this matter, go ahead and raise your hand. I'll let you in. I'm not seeing any. Perfect. And the person titled GOLDE, you are a panelist and you
Okay.
should be able to also start your camera.
I have my camera turned on and everything, but I don't know why it's not showing. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Hopefully we can get that.
I'm present with Harbin's Lolly.
Okay, perfect. Hopefully we can get that camera to start. We do prefer that cameras. Let's see.
Well, we
If I do that.
start my video. There we go.
Go. All right,
Now you can see us.
so before we begin, can we please get the attorneys to announce their appearance? We'll start with the licensee's attorney following the city's attorney.
Diane Goldenstein for Harbin's Lolly, who's the president of Everyday Stores, DBA Everyday Stores 5700, registration number 15998.
If we could get the city's attorney to record their appearance.
Thank you. For the city, Deshauna Sasweta, Colorado Attorney Registration Number 53845.
Great. So I'll go ahead and explain the process a little bit here. So that everyone understands how this will work tonight, this will be the order of events. Because the city has the burden of proof, they will get to go first and last in the presentation of evidence and argument. Then the BLA will deliberate on the record. Then we will vote. If we find that the licensee committed a violation, we will proceed to the penalty phase. Now we'll talk about witnesses and evidence. First, the city will have the opportunity to call any sworn witnesses and provide any exhibits. The licensee will have an opportunity to cross-examine those witnesses. The city will then have an opportunity to redirect the witnesses. And finally, members of the BLA will also have an opportunity to ask questions of each witness. We will follow this process until the city finishes with witnesses and evidence. Next, the licensee will have the same opportunity to call any sworn witnesses and provide any exhibits. The city will have an opportunity to cross-examine those witnesses. The licensee will then have an opportunity to redirect the witnesses. Finally, members of the BLA will also have an opportunity to ask questions. The city will then have an opportunity to put on a rebuttal case to rebut any issues brought up by the licensee. Once both sides finish with witnesses and evidence, both sides will get to make a brief closing argument. Again, because the city has a burden of proof, they will get to go first and last. As far as deliberations goes, After all the evidence is in, the BLA will deliberate on the record and vote on the show cause issue. If we find that the licensee was in violation, the licensee will be provided an opportunity to provide any evidence in mitigation it chooses before we consider the appropriate penalty. The city will also have the opportunity to provide matters in aggravation. And finally, are there any questions about the process, and are both sides ready to proceed? City,
The city's ready to proceed, no questions.
licensee,
We stipulate there was a violation and we're in the process of going through the city's process to get permission to expand the beer and wine sales.
we do
And-
not have a signed stipulation before us today.
No, you don't. But we'll stipulate right here on the record.
Roberto,
Hi, thank you. We can certainly do this orally on the record. And what I suggest is that the city's prosecutor go through the allegation. We will put the licensee under oath, and the licensee can admit or deny each element of the allegation. And if that's the case, then we can certainly go into mitigating factors.
so correct me if I'm hearing this wrong, but basically we're going to give the city's attorney their chance to present their case.
No, the city's attorney, Deshauna, will simply articulate each element. But before doing that, we will place the licensee under oath, and Deshauna will put each element on the record. The licensee will admit or deny each element. Assuming we get to the end and each element of the allegation is admitted, then you accept the stipulation.
Great. So let's start with getting the licensee sworn in then.
My name is Harbans S. Lally. I am managing member of the Beverage Store LLC, address 1275 West 13th Street, Boulder, Colorado.
Thank you so much. And if you will spell your name for the record.
Harbans, first name Harbans, last name Lally, Lali.
Thank you so much. And if you'll raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the statements you're about to give before the Beverage Licensing Authority are true and correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so we can move forward with the city prosecutor and the allegations as listed.
Thank you. I am loading the document. One moment, please. There are 3 allegations at issue for today's show cause hearing, now oral stipulation. The first alleged violation is a violation of Colorado Liquor Code 47-302A, changing, altering, or modifying licensed premises. It states, after issuance of a license, the licensee shall make no physical change, alteration, or modification of the licensed premises that materially or substantially alters the licensed premises or the usage of the licensed premises from the latest approved plans and specifications on file with the state and local licensing authorities without application to and the approval of the respective licensing authorities.
And one thing I did forget to ask was if there was any ex parte communication or conflict of interest from any of the board members. Member Califano has been in this establishment before. I was aware that there was a violation, but that's the only thing that I need to disclose. Any other board members?
Member Absalom, no.
Member Carr, no.
No.
Member Roberts, no.
All right, apologies. So Roberto, at this point, the licensee has the opportunity to deny or accept the allegations.
Yes, he
Yes,
can
we accept it.
Do you admit or deny those allegations?
Yeah, we admit that mistake happened.
And And sir, is anybody forcing you to admit to this?
No,
Has anybody made any promises to you simply to get you to admit to this?
no,
Knowing that nobody has made any promises to you, are you doing this of your own free will?
yes,
Okay. The board can now take a vote as to accept it at this point if you find that he has knowingly and voluntarily admitted to this allegation.
Is there a motion from any board member to accept this admission to the allegation?
Member Carr will make a motion to accept the stipulation to this admission.
Member Haggerty seconds the motion.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Member Califano, aye.
Member Absalom, aye.
Member Carr, aye.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Member Roberts, aye.
All right, the city prosecutor can proceed with the next charge.
Thank you. The second allegation today is a violation of the Beverage Licensing Authority Rules of Procedure subsection 8-3-1 permission required. A licensee shall not physically change, alter, or modify the premises in a manner which materially or substantially alters the premises or the usage of the premises from the plans and specifications submitted at the time of obtaining the license without approval of the licensing clerk or authority.
And does the license accept these charges? Admit to these charges, excuse me.
yes,
It's basically the same as the last one.
yes, same like last one.
All right, and
And
is,
sir, is anybody forcing you to admit to this?
And no, sir,
Has anybody made any promises to you simply to get you to admit to this?
no,
Sir, have you had enough time and opportunity to discuss this issue and the other allegations with your attorney?
yes,
And are you satisfied that you, in fact, are accepting responsibility on behalf of the business?
yes,
Okay, you can take a motion now.
all right, is there a motion to accept the admitting to the charges? Member Califano would make a motion to accept.
Member Carr will second that motion.
All in favor, say aye. Member Califano, aye.
Member Absalom, aye.
Member Carr, aye.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Member Roberts, aye.
All right, we can move on with the city prosecutor to the next charge.
Thank you. The third and final allegation today is a violation of Colorado Liquor Code Regulation number 47-950 subsection B subsection 1. Alcohol beverages immediately adjacent to soft drinks, fruit juices, bottled water, candy, or toys. Any retail liquor store, liquor licensed drugstore, fermented malt beverage and wine retailer, or fermented malt beverage on off-premises licensee that locates, places, or displays, including permanent or temporary displays, alcohol beverages immediately adjacent to soft drinks, fruit juices, bottled water, candy, or toys shall, number 1, place signage that is clearly visible to consumers on any such shelves, cooler shelves, or displays, including permanent or temporary displays, that contains alcohol beverages and is immediately adjacent to soft drinks, fruit juices, bottled water, candy, or toys. This signage must be A, be at least 8.5 by 5.5 inches or 4.2 by 11 inches, depending on the orientation of the sign. B, use a font size of at least 40 points in black ink. And C, state in all caps, these products are alcohol beverages available for sale only to persons who are 21 years of age and older.
Sir, do you admit or deny that allegation?
we admit,
And sir, is anybody forcing you to admit to this?
and no, sir,
Has anybody made any promises to you simply to get you to admit to this?
no, sir,
Are you doing this both knowingly and voluntarily?
This mistake happened by honest mistake, and
Just
Right, but are you admitting to this knowingly and voluntarily? That is to say, do you
yes,
understand
voluntary.
the allegations?
Yes, we admit.
Okay. All right. You can entertain a motion.
Right, is there a motion to accept this?
Member Carl will make a motion to accept.
There a second?
Member Roberts will second the motion to accept.
All in favor, say aye. Member Califano, aye.
Member Absalom, aye.
Member Carr, aye.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Member Roberts, I.
All right, and Roberto, correct me if I'm wrong, but at this point, we've got a signed stipulation, correct?
Well, you have a stipulation. However, normally in a signed stipulation, the prosecution would be able to have provided the facts and circumstances surrounding the allegations. So if the city prosecutor wishes to call a witness just for the purpose of the facts and circumstances, so that the BLA could understand the factual basis. Once that is complete, then you can accept matters in mitigation from the licensee.
Great, I would turn it to the city prosecutor then if you have any witnesses you would like to call.
Yes, thank you. The city would like to call Officer Leah Reck.
Officer Reck, before you begin, I'll just go ahead and swear you in. If you'll say your name, spell your name, and give your position for the city.
Officer Leah Reck, RECH. I'm a police officer with the city of Boulder.
Thank you. If you'll raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the statements you're about to make before the BLA are true and correct?
I do.
Thank you.
Officer Reck, can you please explain to the board what has brought Everyday Store to your attention?
Yes. Oh, on December 30th, I received an email from the then licensing manager, Kristen Shangaris, that there was information that there may have been some unapproved modifications at the Everyday Store located at 1275 13th Street. And she asked if I could follow up on those that information of those possible violations.
And did you follow up on those violations?
I did. I requested that she send me a copy of the allegations were that there had been some modifications made in the store with alcohol being stored where it was not approved per the license. And so I asked her to send me a copy of the approved layout so that I knew what I was looking for, or an officer knew what they were looking for when they went to the location.
Based on your review of the store's approved layout, where was alcohol required to be located at in the store?
So there was an approved layout that was done back in 2019, and it looked like they had just approval for alcohol to be stored in coolers and possibly behind those coolers. So no access to the public, but just in coolers that were along a back wall. As you walked into the store, I guess it would be a back wall. I'm not good with my directions here, but so just in the one location.
And did you personally go to Everyday Store to review the current layout of the business?
I did, but after I asked Officer West to go up there, I had some restrictions and I wasn't allowed to go myself that day. And so I asked one of my coworkers, Officer Mike West, if he could go up and just do a walkthrough of the store and capture the store on his body worn camera. And then he came back to the police department and gave me an update, and we reviewed his body worn camera with what he saw. And then the following day I was able to go up, and the store was closed at the time, but I could see inside the front door. So just took a couple images of what I could see from the front door.
What date did you ask Officer West to go to Everyday Store?
That was going to be on, let's see here, December. Give me a minute. Officer West went up there, I believe, on I just had it right here. He went up, I believe, on the second. On the second, yeah.
Could you be more specific with the date and the month?
Yes, January 2nd of 2025.
And is it your testimony that you debriefed with Officer West and reviewed his body cam from that visit on the 2nd?
Yes, I did.
And what did the body cam footage reveal?
It revealed, as Officer West explained it, there was alcohol piled everywhere and virtually, so how he walked down the aisles was he would walk down each aisle separately, and I cannot say the word serpentine through the store, and virtually every single aisle had some type of alcohol stored within the aisle, or it looked like some end caps might have been moved, and cases and pallets of cases of beer were stored at the end caps. There was virtually alcohol throughout the store.
Was any of this alcohol near candy, soda, or bottled water?
Yes, as a matter of fact, there was several locations that the alcohol was literally right next to. You would see some snacks, candy, alcohol, more snacks, more candy. There was no signage there indicating that it was alcohol. And that happened, from what I could tell from the body cam footage, that happened several times throughout the store, several different aisles, as well as up towards where the fountain machines were. So where the soda fountain machines are, right literally on one side was the fountain machine, the other side was cases and pallets of alcohol.
Did you previously testify that you followed up and went to Everyday Store yourself after Officer West visited the premises?
I did. The next morning I went out. I had another officer with me, and the intent was to go into the store and have a conversation with the manager, but they were closed. So I was only able to just capture a couple photographs from the front door, which was locked, but they were glass doors.
What were you able to see through the glass doors?
I saw exactly what I saw on Officer West's camera from the angle. The only angle that I was able to see was the cases and pallets of alcohol stored at the end caps of the aisles.
Officer, do you have any additional facts that you believe need to be highlighted before the BLA today?
I think we covered them all. Yeah, I think that we've covered them.
Thank you. The city prosecutor has no additional questions for Officer Rick.
Great, thank you. Does the licensee have any mitigating evidence as to these? For this testimony?
At this point, the mitigation would be that the original design of the store left the whole middle of it blank, and it just showed the beer coolers. So when they had an over delivery of beer, way too much, it did get stored throughout the store. But these are cases on pallets, not individual cans that somebody could grab easily. And as soon as he became aware that all of that has been moved back behind the coolers that she was talking about, and no extra coolers have been used, and there's the shelf that's facing the beer is empty of snacks and things, so that at this point there's no adjacency. There's nothing next to the candy or the snacks. Second mitigating thing is we've gone over this with the one of the city clerks, so we're in the process of applying to have a different setup put in, because there's also wine that's now allowed. So we need to designate where the wine is. And also, we're asking for a floor display in that application. Right now, we're in the zoning process, so we'll follow through with that. Everything is in compliance at this point, separated and put behind the coolers. until we can get approval for a change. The third one is that we had a misunderstanding since no shelves or coolers or anything else actually physically were removed in the store. There's been no modification that was anything other than where the beer was put onto the floor. And so and maybe also the wine. So at that point, it was being stored inappropriately, but not deliberately put out for sale there. It was a matter of too much beer, not enough space. And until we have permission to put it anyplace else, everything is pulled back behind those 4 coolers.
And Roberta, are we able to ask questions of Officer Recht and the licensee at this point?
You certainly can.
Are there any questions? We'll start with the licensee. Are there any questions for the licensee?
This is Member Absalom here. So I'm just wondering, you said too much beer, not enough space. Can you just explain what that means? I mean, isn't there a reason why you order something for your licensed premise? Can you just expound on that for me?
No, we don't order. Beer company send his rep and he send a bigger delivery. And even I don't have a knowledge. We cannot put a more delivery in floor plan. My observation, we need to change only walking cooler and outside I don't have knowledge because I'm not in the liquor business. Before it's 3.2 beer, the sale is very low. But when the regular beer come and sale increase much higher, and then beer company deliver a lot of beer there because sale there, and we make a mistake. This is very honest mistake because I don't have a knowledge. We cannot put any beer or wine outside, and beer companies and a bigger delivery, and then no room there to put it, and he install everywhere. That's true, and mistake happen, but I don't have a knowledge about it. I have my company market Dr. Mark Narek, and he don't have either any knowledge also about we can put any stock, any beer, wine the floor, and that's why mistake happened. When we got a notice, next day I go to store with the Mark Narek, and we remove all the beer, wine from the floor plan and put it behind the walking cooler. And mistake happen, and we admit mistake happened there. But that mistake happened because I don't have a knowledge. I cannot put any beer on the floor plan, and that's why we admit. But when we got a notice right away, I remove everything, and very mad at the beer company, and he took some beer bag, which one we don't need it, and he put the extra stock of beer to show the public we have more beer, and but we are responsible because we are licensing, and suppose I knew before, but mistake happened.
I
Right.
don't.
Oh,
Oh,
go ahead. Go ahead, Member Calpon, if you'd like.
I was just gonna say, I don't
Mark,
really have a question, but more of a statement. Sir, you are in the liquor business. You have a license that you have a store that sells liquor that you oversee. And in this location, it is a little disturbing that, you're not aware of what that entirely means.
I'm not in the
Give
liquor
me one second.
business.
Give me 1 second here. And if you didn't know if it was okay or not, you can always check with our clerks. That's not an issue, and they can tell you that or not. But yeah, I find it a little scary that you don't know the full background of what owning a liquor license entails and the responsibility that entails.
I never in the liquor business sold a hard liquor. Before we have only 3.2 beer. A sale is very, very low, like monthly 2-3 grand. But when get a regular beer, sale increase much more higher. But I accept my mistake. I didn't research before we put in more beer, but beer company deliver a lot of beer in the KCP sale there. And I have Mark Nork in, he my market doctor, and even he don't have a knowledge, and I don't have a knowledge. And overseas, I don't drink a liquor or beer. I don't go to liquor store. And we admit we make a mistake, but that mistake happen only because I don't have a knowledge. And that's my fault. And I accept our fault, you know.
If I may, he's not in the store daily. He has a string and there was a manager. That manager has since been terminated. And the original question was, why did he order too much beer? He didn't. He ordered a regular amount and the beer company brought a lot more and left it around the store. And they told him in their experience, Boulder's pretty much the only place that they have a trouble with, that there was more beer in the store than just behind the coolers. So that was, when you talk about it being on pallets, that was how it was delivered to them. And the manager didn't stop it. So as soon as he became aware of it, some of the beer was sent back and the rest of it was packed into the storage space that there was. So yeah, he made a mistake, but he rectified it as soon as he could, and he's applying for a different floor plan, one that actually shows all the shelves and everything else. And we've gone through the store and delineated where anything that would be considered a snack or a soft drink. We don't have toys, but anything that might be picked up by, say, an 18-year-old, because we have very few children actually come into the store. But it's been separated and we're applying to have it done correctly. But this, I'm just saying, your city is way stricter on placement of beer on the floor than in the experience of the marketing director that we talked to.
This is Member Absalom here. Just to be clear, so your client understands, whether or not the distributor made a mistake, the licensed premises is the responsibility of the licensee. And that's not just in the city of Boulder, that's in the state of Colorado. So I don't know what kind of marketing director you're talking to, but when you have a licensed premise for where you can store alcohol, that's not because of our city. It is also your client's responsibility to understand what is being stored in their licensed establishment. Whether or not the distributor brought more beer than they ordered, that is besides the point. Once something happens like that, it is the responsibility of the licensee, and that is not just the city of Boulder, just so we're clear around the rules. So I don't want to say you're trying to blame our rules here in this city, but it's the way that the law of the state of Colorado works. So whether or not too much beer was, I just want to make sure your client is aware. Whether someone didn't know or didn't understand it, that's besides the point. There are rules being broken, and that's all I want to make sure that we're clear of understanding with your client. And that's
And
all.
as you may not have understood, but he did say twice that he is responsible. He considers the liquor store something selling, say, vodka and things, but he understands he's selling full strength beer and wine, and that is also full strength. And once the students on the Hill, old enough to buy, understood that, he's had a large increase in the number of people wanting beer. So, like I said, he accepts responsibility. He has, and we're going through the process to come completely into compliance so that there is also a different storage area marked so that out of the reach of the public and out of sight of the public, so that even if too much ever got delivered again, it could all be put away better. And the manager is also going through this with it. The new manager is going through this with him to make sure that it's not a repeated mistake.
I have no further questions.
You just mentioned that you're working towards being compliant. Could you elaborate on that? Or
Well,
is not still compliant?
He's compliant now because the beer has been either removed or moved back behind the coolers that was always storage. The same with the wine is behind the coolers. And to become compliant, we need to finish submitting a zoning request, and which was unusual to me, at least, because we haven't physically changed anything in the store. Some of the alcohol was placed where it shouldn't have been as storage, but the shelves haven't moved, the coolers haven't moved, that kind of thing. So as a modification of premises, Boulder requires a zoning review. We're in that process. Then we'll finish with the application, which will be coming in front of you with a different floor plan and a different arrangement, and with a very clear separation between any alcoholic beverages and anything else. So pretty much everything in the store, except for a few things like car windshield wiper fluid or something like that, and a few medicinal things. Almost everything else in the store is something that you would categorize as not being able to be next to alcohol. So we've planning where the signs would be to make it very clear to everybody that the back half of the store, and Ms. Reck was a little bit unclear on directions, but we're talking about the south half of this store as being where the alcohol is proposed to be, where it currently is allowed. And so that we're in compliance with the old floor plan, and we're requesting a different floor plan in the process that we're going through, which obviously you will get a copy of and be able to vote on it, or if there's objections, we can negotiate with those people about it.
Are there any other questions for the licensee?
I just explain it.
Oh, no, sir, I'm sorry. We're just getting questions. We'll have time for a closing statement in a minute. All right, we can move to Officer Reck. Are there any questions for Officer Reck?
Officer Rick, this is Member Carr. I had one question for you. Was it just beer that was around the store, or was it beer, wine, and other forms of alcoholic beverages?
So it was all sorts of, it was beer, it was wine. The wine was stored as you're walking down the aisle. There'd be, the shelf space was with wine. So it wasn't just an overture of beer. There was wine placed throughout the store, the little pop fizz alcohol. And was also another cooler. And when I see the directions or see the layout, I see now the direction. So the west wall is where the coolers are. The north wall also has a cooler that is not on the license plan. And amongst that cooler with like protein drinks and such was also bottles of wine and things that were stored in there as well. So again, it was not just an overture of beer. It was it was scattered around the store of more than just beer.
Thank you.
Officer Rack, have you visited since they have been notified of this hearing? And can you confirm if they are now in compliance or not?
So I have had some work restrictions, so I've not been able to leave the police department. So I did not get to go back out and take a look. And I'm not sure if licensing was able to make it up there to take a look.
Thanks.
Are there any other questions from the board for Officer Reck? Not seeing any. All right, at this time, does the licensee have anything else they'd like to present?
Yes, when I got a notice, then then I knew that we make a mistake and violate, and right away I will go. My market director go we go 2-3 days, move everything right away from the floor and call to beer company. He come, he pick up extra beer, which one don't sell, and he put a lot of beer. And then I go to city and meet a city clerk and request, please send someone again to check it. We remove everything already because the mistake happen, honest mistake happen, because I don't have a knowledge, but I admit I'm business owner, suppose I knew before. And I request city clerk also, please send someone and check everything we remove it. And as- city clerk say, we can look whatever we can do. But which day I got a notice, after 2-3 days later, we remove everything. And I don't want to violate at any condition. I strict my people must check a ID. Any customer come without ID, don't sell it. But we make a mistake, and that's why we admit, and I'm responsible to my people. And beer company not responsible. I'm responsible because I have to more careful, and I can promise in future never happen that kind of stuff. Because now we are more strictly, we have knowledge, and before I don't have knowledge, that's my mistake. And whatever fine or whatever you want, we can cooperate. And when we got a regular beer, before monthly sale for beer, couple of grand, and now it increased a lot. And we request please forgive this time because mistake happen, but honest mistake. And that's my mistake. I don't have a knowledge before, and now I have a knowledge, and in future never have that mistake happen before we get any approval. We cannot change anything.
All right, thank you very much for that. Does the city prosecutor have anything to close with?
No. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So at this time, we will close for a determination or deliberation and determine what we may do in these charges. Is there a suggestion from any of the board members? I believe this falls under code of conduct.
That was my
Yeah.
question.
And we're looking at 3 counts.
Also, we put all the sign back.
We are
20
closed for deliberation at this point, sir.
Sorry.
We won't be taking any more testimony.
This is member Absalom here. It just sounds like, sure, it was a mistake, but nonetheless, there's there's a clear admittance to all 3 of these counts. So, and I'm not seeing a whole lot of mitigation other than that it was just a mistake. So, I mean, if there's more discussion, I'm willing to make a motion on the table value, but I'm willing to hear other board members.
I would agree with that, and this is member Califano, in that while, I do consider a mitigating factor the admission of guilt, it's also an aggravating factor, being that they don't have the knowledge of this, and given their location and the demographic of the neighborhood, it's concerning to me that such a thing could happen that would blatantly violate their law because of a quote unquote lack of knowledge. And if you're in this business, I feel like you really should know what you're doing. It's a high stakes business.
This is member Carr. One of my concerns, and what I think actually sort of is more of an aggravating factor here, is that it doesn't seem like there was proper training in place, maybe for the store manager at least. That's very concerning to me. And also there were no mitigating factors or anything submitted to us. At least 9 days to licensing. So those are definitely some aggravating factors. I do appreciate that they have accepted responsibility for the violation. That's very important. but it's very, to your point, Member Califano, very concerning given the location especially.
And Member Absalom, was that a motion?
No, I said I was willing to make a motion until I heard from other board members. I just wanted to see if anyone else wanted to weigh in before I did. I'm ready to make a motion unless someone else wants to weigh in.
Why don't we go ahead and have, well, Member Califano will make a motion for table value. Is there a discussion at this point, or does anybody have any alterations to Member Califano's motion? And just for the record, the table value is 18 days served with 27 held in abeyance.
That's correct on the table value.
Is there a second discussion?
Member Absalom will second Chair Califano's motion.
All right, so we have a first and a second. All in favor say aye. Member Califano, aye.
Member Absalom, aye.
Member Carr, aye.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Member Roberts, aye.
All right, so now we need to determine days of sentencing. Caitlin, are we good to start this following Monday?
Yes, we can create posters tomorrow.
Great, so those posters will be ready for pickup and will need to be posted from midnight on Monday morning for 18 consecutive days that you are open. And no liquor can be sold in that time frame. You can stay open as a gas station, just no liquor sold in that time frame. Okay, and I think that's it for this agenda item.
Yeah, if there's no further questions or anything, I will send an email whenever the suspension posters are created, with pickup instructions and things like that.
Thank you all very much for being here.
Give me just a
Thank you.
second. Okay. That was the only public or hearing that agenda item that was on the agenda. So I will move on to agenda item 5, which is matters from Deputy City Attorney. If Roberto has anything. It looks like nope. Next we will move on to agenda item 6, matters from licensing clerk. There is one boundary setting on the agenda, and that is for Stella's Lounge LLC, DBA Stella's Lounge, 1123 Walnut Street, Suite 101, Boulder, Colorado 80302, for a modification of premises. This licensee has actually requested to speak to the board before the boundary setting. It's totally up to the board if you want to hear from them. They are here. Their attorney is here waiting to speak to you. If you would like to allow that, then I will allow them to speak. If not, you can move forward with the boundary setting.
I'd like to hear what they're planning on altering. How's the rest of the board feel? Well, if they can keep it brief, that is.
Totally. Perfect. And I see there's a few people in the waiting room. So if you are here to speak on this matter, go ahead and raise your hand so I know which person to allow. Okay. And I'm just going to go ahead and promote you guys to panelists so you can turn your cameras on. And I believe Mr. Harden is the attorney for this applicant.
Good afternoon. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Fantastic. Well, appreciate you providing me the opportunity to speak here. I will keep it brief, absolutely. My name is Sam Harden, Colorado registration number 58758. Here on behalf of license holder Stella's Lounge. We're here today to request an administrative review and approval of the modification of premises associated with the existing hotel and restaurant license. So at play here today, Stella's has been fortunate to have grown and have more success than even initially imagined. And with this success has created a need for the business to continue to grow and meet the needs and desires of the community it serves. And included in these changes and the reason for our appearance here today is an increase to existing storage space, which will in part include an expansion to liquor storage areas on the premises. This change has been approved by the landlord as well as Boulder's Planning and Development Services. Notably, and really the reason for our appearance and request for an administrative review and approval is that there will not be any changes to the existing safe and successful operations if this is approved. This is not a new space, but only an expansion of a second floor existing storage area, which was and will continue to be off limits to customers and accessible only to approved employees handling liquor and things of that nature. So this upstairs storage area is accessible only by employee key card, and all liquor in the area will continue to remain behind lock and key. And so essentially what this is doing is taking about 101 square foot storage area upstairs and licensing it to about 1,200 square feet to provide some additional space for that safe storage of alcohol. So we request that modification be administratively approved to avoid undue time and expense, given that they are ready to expand and begin using this space to benefit their customers. I believe we also have a representative or two, including the general manager, Jason Feibel, present here today, in case you all have any questions specific to the operations themselves. Obviously, I'm available to answer any questions as well, but that is our request at issue here today.
Thank you. Caitlin, quick question. When I can't recall, permanent modifications always come before the board, correct?
They do, unless you choose to allow them to be approved administratively.
Okay. And it's temp mods that we typically don't see, correct?
Correct.
All right. Well, are there any questions for Mr. Harden or from the board?
One point of clarification. So this is not expanding your service area for alcohol. This is only expanding liquor storage, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Yep, same operations will continue.
I also have the application pulled up if the board would like to see what they've submitted.
That was my one holdback, is we haven't, seen what they're trying to do. So, and I was just gonna say, I kind of don't want to be put on the spot per se, and just to follow, legalities and treating everyone the same. Personally, I would not. It's nothing to do with the business. I'm sure they have it all in order, but just to stay on the same page and be equitable with this. That's my opinion. I don't know how the rest of the board feels.
This is Member Absalom. I have to agree with Chair Califano here. Careful with setting a precedent here now, because if this authority starts to do making sort of changes around administrative approvals, when our rules say that any change, a permanent modification has to come before this authority, I would just be a little bit wary around doing that. So I kind of want to echo what Chair Califano was saying. We should follow in my opinion, we should follow what I've always done.
This is Member Carr. I have a slightly different opinion on this. Since it is only for storage, I don't see how there's too much of an impact really to the community at large. And, I can't see of any negative impacts that would happen. Specifically, if we're able to review the application And as they've already stated, it will be kept under lock and key. That's my opinion. I'd like to allow them to move forward with this for their business.
I happen
But-
to agree with Member Carr on this one. I think it would maybe just hold them up a little bit, and it's just an increase in storage space, but you did say from 100 square feet to 1,200 square feet? Is that what you said?
That's correct. And I'd be more than happy, it's on my screen as well. I'd be more than happy to share my screen and show you all the changes that'll be taking place. And if the authority would like to take it under consideration and discuss, come to a decision, whether it's, not at this hearing, but in the next, coming days or weeks, I think just the sooner the better for the business. I absolutely understand the concern shared by some members. And so if it would help to walk through a bit of those changes, I'd be more than happy to do so.
And see, we're typically given this kind of information in advance so that we have plenty of time to review it. That's all I meant when I said being put on the spot per se. Personally, I like taking my time to really review it. I understand this. From what you're describing, this sounds like a very low risk change. And so I get where you're coming from, but that's just my stance with kind of, as Member Absalom said, keeping precedent and setting precedents.
Yeah, and I just want to kind of talk more about that. Just to your point, I understand what Member Carr and Member Roberts are saying. Like, yeah, it doesn't seem like that much, but think about all the licensees in the city of Boulder. So now we have a process, right, where we would see now these drawings on our next hearing, and everyone else would have to wait that way. If we start accepting people's requests to make administrative adjustments without even looking, even if they presented the materials to us right now, and even if we took a break, right, and we took 30 minutes and looked at it, any licensee in the city of Boulder can come and say, we're gonna ask to do this administratively with the board. As much as I agree with everything it's saying from a business perspective, and I totally respect that you need to go and do this. If we do this now, I promise you, you're gonna see it's just gonna change the way that we operate. And I personally don't agree with doing it this way, and I would just warn against it. That's just my feeling.
I'm fine with it. Either way.
But just think about any redrawing of licensed premise you've seen so far since you've been on the board, right?
Right. And I also know Member Absalon and Califano, you guys have a lot more experience and have seen a lot more. So I do take that into high consideration. And I would hate to then start that precedence of like every time. It also makes it difficult because it's not in front of us. Maybe if it had been included, that would have been like a little bit easier, but it's true. It's not even here. So yeah.
It's something that you could bring up at your retreat.
Yeah. Well,
Your retreat?
Actually, I think this is my last hearing, unfortunately, so I'm gonna miss the retreat. I might be watching as a spectator, but the BLA has an opportunity to potentially look at these rules and change the rules, right, around accepting administrative changes. But the rules in place so the community can talk about needs and desires. We can get the materials in our packet, and then at the next hearing, we can go ahead and approve a change. That's the process, right? So, like I said, I understand this business component. That's something that should certainly be taken into account, but that's something that the BLA members need to decide to change rules around. If you want to change a rule right now for this one licensee, I would be remiss in not saying that I'm a little bit frightened about the precedent being set.
I would agree with Member Absalom.
yeah. At the same time as this is Member Carr, couldn't we, say this is just for storage, right? This is not for service areas. So like we don't, and even we're not setting a precedent. We don't have to ever approve another administrative review if we choose.
So just as an example, the last agenda item that we just saw where there was a problem with where things were being stored, right? So if you say now, okay, because it's just storage, right? What's stopping any other retail place from saying, hey, we need to change our storage right now, and we don't get the community's input. Just again, I want us to talk it out. I'm totally understanding what you're saying. I operate business in this town. I know how it goes, but I just have seen so much around this, and if we end up doing this, which is obviously up to the board's all of our decision, um, you're talking about places that have they're going from one, up to 1,200 square feet. Think about the places that have thousands of square feet, and it's going to be hard if it's just for storage, right? And I understand there's no significant change to how they're serving alcohol. But if you do this now, you're going to look at these big places. They could come at you with a bigger change that we're not going to be prepared to do, and not even having seen a drawing. Like that just seems a little crazy.
I would also like to add that the way this was publicly notified on our agenda was a simple setting of boundaries so that they can do the public surveys. And we typically don't see licensees showing up to their boundaries. It has happened, but it's not a common thing. Is this were to show up as an agenda item and you were a member of the public, you would, I think it just sets a precedence of how you're notified of this. Like someone that saw, oh, they're just setting the boundaries for that, might not have thought to be present should they have wanted to speak up to this agenda item today.
That's a fair point.
So in that case, member Califano would make a motion to not grant the administrative renewal and have them follow the normal permanent modification process.
Member Absalom would second.
All in favor say aye. Member Califano, aye.
Member Absalom, aye.
Member Carr, abstain.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Member Roberts, aye.
Roberto?
An abstention vote is a no vote.
All right. I'm real sorry to do this to you and your client, but we just want to keep that precedence. I'm sure everything will go great.
No, I appreciate it. I think the precedent is that it could be available for administrative review with your complete discretion to accept or deny on that administrative review. And the application's been in your possession or in the clerk's possession here for over a month now, but I completely understand the position, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll need to, hang on, let me gather one more there. It's supposed to be 1 second. So we'll still need to continue with the boundary setting. So this will be a boundary setting for, I'll just read it into the record again one more time. Stellage Lounge LLC, DBA Stellage Lounge, 1123 Walnut Street, Suite 101, Boulder, Colorado, 80302 for modification of premises of a hotel restaurant type liquor license. I pulled just the boundaries from the original application that occurred in 2022, and that is Maxwell on the north, Marine on the south, 17th on the east, and west on the 4th. And I will share my screen so you can see a map here. Maybe.
Member Califano would make a motion to approve.
Member Carr will second the motion.
All in favor say aye. Member Califano, aye.
Member Absalom, aye.
Member Carr, aye.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Member Roberts, aye.
Thank you so much. Next, we have no administrative processing of transfer applications, no breweries, wineries, or distilleries. You have your special events permits that were approved this month, and then your liquor renewals. The only other item that we have from licensing clerk is, oh, and I'm sorry, I also wanted to point out that there is a legislative update in your packet, based on your request from the March meeting, I believe. So that will be in your packets moving forward. I didn't put an agenda item on for that, but that is something if you wanted to discuss it, just let me know. Or have any questions or whatever. And then the only other item that I have is that Member Absalom already said it, but this is Member Absalom and Member Chair Califano's last meeting. And I personally just want to say thank you so much for your service. It has been a pleasure being with you guys, even though we've only gotten to meet each other a few times, but in the whole 5 years that I've been here, you've been here. So I'm sure you're excited to have a free Wednesday every month. And I think Elisa probably has some words as well.
I just wanted to thank you for taking time out of your busy lives to make really tough decisions and help the business of Boulder keep going. Really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Also, what are you guys gonna do without me?
I
I
was
haven't figured that out yet.
just wondering that, actually.
Yeah.
So one thing that I want to say, and this goes certainly to the leadership of Chair Califano and the background that Member Absalom brings to the authority, is that I was just doing the math here, and I represent 5 different boards and commissions, which is a lot. But this is the easiest board or commission that I work with. You guys are amazing. And again, I think it's because of the leadership and the background that the two of you bring.
I'm always worried. I'm like, oh God, I said something wrong.
The
I get-
moment you see my camera turn on, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just say, if this is the opportunity just to thank you, Matthew personally. He's seen me on the other side of this. I ran the RHG, which was before RAR. I was the president of that organization for 10 years. And then when I joined this prestigious authority, Matthew really guided me, and so much thank you to city staff. We could not do anything without you guys. It's such a pleasure to work with such professionals. And Roberto, meeting you recently, just thank you to city staff, and the biggest thank you to Matthew Califano.
Right back at you, Mike. And happy birthday.
I know I got hacked. It's not my birthday. I got hacked.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. My birthday is July 22nd. And like 10 people texted me today. I'm like, holy shit, I got to change my thing.
I also want to say a big thank you to Officer Rep. I think that you're doing great in your new position. And yeah, I think you'll be really great for this board.
And right back at you both. I really appreciate all the guidance and understanding of me navigating this new position here. I really do appreciate and I take into consideration everything that you guys say. I hang on to it probably more than I should, but I agree. I'm going to miss you both for the guidance, but I would love to be able to tap into those resources if I'm allowed, Roberto, to be able to question them and ask them about my specific duties of my position. And Chair Califano, I think I know where you live, so.
Oh.
I was just meaning, just swing by and say hi, that's all. Anyhow, thank you guys, I appreciate it.
You guys are going to have to vote you remaining 3 on a new chair.
Well, do we have new board members joining?
So thank you. Perfect segue, Member Roberts. So technically, City Council has not appointed anyone. They are appointing tomorrow. There was 2 vacancies and 2 applicants. So if City Council appoints both of them, then those will be your new board members. So in the off chance that both of them aren't appointed, then Member California and Member Absalom might get a call from us to see if they want to stay until their seat is filled. So yeah, that's how it's working. And then in April, I will put and actually Sarah Riggs, who is my colleague, she's actually training on BLA and she will be starting to clerk meetings in the near future. But she will put something on the agenda for us to talk about retreat and dates and stuff like that. So remaining board members, if you want to start thinking about what days would work for you for retreat, we'll look at probably the June timeframe. But we won't know for sure tomorrow, so you can tune into city council tomorrow if you're interested in finding out for sure.
Do you happen to know, off the top of your head, what agenda item that is for them?
I don't, I'm so sorry, I don't ever look at the city council agenda,
I
but
can look it
Elisa
up
might.
online, no worries.
Okay.
Hey Matthew, now that we're done, should we like go just like stream this city council meeting, get some margaritas going, and like really just dive into the next generation?
Well, now you
Absolutely.
guys can actually like hang out and talk.
I know. I'm actually we've been talking about this for a long time, and finally the moment has come that we will sit together in a social setting and talk about anything we want to.
I love it. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much. And with that, I'll move on to agenda item 13, matters from chair and members of the authority, if you have anything.
Think we said it all. At least I did.
Yeah, thanks, Matthew and Mike. It's been great working with you both. We're gonna miss having you on here for sure. You guys bring a lot of knowledge. So, yeah,
We're around if you need us.
special consultants to BLI.
Yeah, consultants. Yeah. I'm on speed dial. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
literally the third time I've been told you need to start your own consulting business.
Phone a friend. Yeah,
Good friend.
M&M Consulting coming to you soon in Boulder, Colorado.
love it.
With that, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Wait, nope,
Oh.
nope,
Oh.
nope, nope. One
Oh.
thing, Chair Califano, can you appoint somebody to sign today's order?
I will appoint member Carr, being that he's vice chair.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And one question for chair for next meeting, would that fall to me as the vice chair, or do we need to appoint that person? Okay. Perfect. I'll be ready to do it.
Perfect.
And I did check. And so the board and commission appointments are the last item on the agenda tomorrow.
So tune in around midnight.
Of course,
Yes.
they are the last one.
I remember the last time I interviewed, and it was 2020. It was right before COVID happened. My interview wasn't until like 9:50 at night, so I had to sit around and wait.
They've changed how they do it. But we will also, if there are new members appointed, we will swear them in at the next, give them their oath of office at the next meeting and get them on board. Hopefully we'll have a chance to meet with them before then and kind of give them a little bit of training before their first meeting, so they're not just thrown into it.
Great. And then I believe we had a motion for adjournment from member Absalom. Member Califano would second that. All in favor say aye. Member Califano, aye.
Member Absalom, aye.
Member Carr, aye.
Member Haggerty, aye.
Member Roberts, aye.
And we are adjourned at 4:19 p.m.
Thank you guys so much.
Record.
Good luck, y'all.
Bye.